Thanks for tuning in to the Trap House Podcast. Now, a quick word about our sponsors. We have Duke Traps. Check out duketraps.com. Duke manufactures over 40 different models of cage traps, coil spring traps, long spring traps, and body grip style traps. Also, my personal favorite, they have the Duke dog proofs. They come powder coated, perfect on the line. Check out duketraps.com and you won't be disappointed. We have J3 Outdoors, maker of the Hags Bracket, all American made products. Check out their website, j3o.com, and you will not be disappointed. They have everything from your bait holders, your spring clips, your tail hooks, the universal locks, the list goes on. Especially if you're a water trapper, you want to check this website out. That's j3o.com. We also have Top Lot Stretcher Company with us. Check out their website at toplotstretcherco.com. Top Lot Stretcher Company handles all your wooden stretcher needs, along with pelt handling supplies and trapping supplies. Check out their website at toplotstretcherco.com. And representing all the girls in the trapping world, we have Trapping Girl Inc. with us. Check out their website, trappinggirlinc.com. They have awesome apparel for the females. There's also kids apparel, lures and baits, things you could use out in the field. Check out their website, trappinggirlinc.com. And there's only one true way to start out the trap line in the morning, and that's with a nice hot cup of coffee from traplinecoffee.com. Check out their numerous collections. They have Trapline Blend, a Kodiak Blend, and my favorite, a Cherry Red Blend, all available at traplinecoffee.com. Also, be sure to check out Weeby Knives. That's weebyknives.com. They have skinning knives, fleshing knives, all your fur handling tools. Check out weebyknives.com. Need a place to sell your fur? Check out Groenewald Fur and Wool Company. They're the largest and most experienced direct receiver of wild fur with over 50 plus years of experience. Their website is gfwco.com. And last but not least, Hoosier Trapper Supply. Check out our website, HoosierTrapperSupply.com, home of the Top Dog Predator Bait and Jet Fuel Predator Lure. We got all your trapping needs, trapping scents and baits, deer scent, and apparel. Check out HoosierTrapperSupply.com. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Trap House Podcast. We got some friends on the show today, and if you've been keeping up with Hoosier Trapper Outdoors, you just watched an episode with Matt Bredeweg and Jarod Shake. Thanks for joining us.
Yep, thanks for having us.
So, yeah, I mean, you guys took the camera. The day that we were there, there wasn't a lot going on, just how it happens, you know, sometimes out when you're trapping, but we left you a camera and you got us all kinds of cool footage. So we just kind of shared the highlights. So now we can kind of talk about all the stuff in between that wasn't on the show, you know, because you guys do a very good job for the short time that you have. And I think a lot of people trap that style, you know, that they're always stuck at work. You know, this isn't their livelihood. They get a vacation time and then they go trapping and go as hard as they can. And that's kind of what you guys do. So it's a perfect example for a lot of trappers out there. Where do you want to where you want to start? How long was the actual vacation trap line, I guess?
Well, I think we had 16 check days, or was it a couple more than that?
It might have been a couple more, maybe.
The complete line was 16 days. I think Matt had out a few traps a few days prior to that already to give us a jump start, but 16 check days was the bulk of the line that we had set. You guys came down and ran with us on, and so that's what we was running.
Yeah. And when you guys were down, the otter that you showed, we had those traps set, but we decided, well, to wait to check it till the following day, just because of time with us and everything. So the day we checked was the second day check for those. And we had an otter, of course.
We thought we were fine with you guys, but hindsight, we didn't need to save time.
Yeah.
Uh,
But that's how it goes.
right. What kind of totals did we end up with? I mean, that's not everything, but people are going to be curious.
So I think we ended up with 73 coyotes. We caught 9 bobcats, and of course here in Indiana we got to turn them loose. But that's quite a few.
Yeah.
Bob. No fox this year. Raccoons, possums, have no idea. We didn't keep track of those.
Yeah.
It was quite a few. I think we had one skunk.
One skunk.
And of course, I remade the set.
I tried to get him not to.
So
I said, "Man, leave that. Let's go." So of course I had to smell it the rest of the day.
What did it pay off? Did you catch a
Coon.
guy out there?
A coon.
caught a raccoon there.
Yeah.
So the particular farm, that's the same farm. When you guys were here last year, we had the bobcat. Same area, same. So, but it just didn't really produce this year for
Bobcats.
on coyotes anyway. But we caught a lot of bobcats there. So again, I don't know if there's some correlation with there being a lot of cats there and it run the coyotes out. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we didn't catch
I think we caught 5 cats there total. So on that one farm.
Yeah.
Is that right? And only 2 or 3 coyotes.
Yeah.
And then in the midst of all that, you did have some water traps going, obviously. We just talked about the otter, got some beaver, even some muskrats in the ditch, which we showed.
Yeah. Not a lot of water trapping, but we did do a little bit.
Yeah. So that's a good 16 days, right? Or,
Yeah, that's a real good 16 days. Real good.
It's unbelievable the amount of prep work that you got to put in when you're going to run that house, trap that many farms. Because we had to go around in the late summer and get permission for all these different properties, and
We knocked on a lot of doors.
knocked on a lot of doors. And that's just kind of what it takes to spread yourself out. So you want to get into different groups to maximize your time.
Yeah, you guys, I talked about it in the beginning of the show, but you guys were pretty spread out, which is very important. So you're not really trapping against yourself, farm next door and all that. And
Right.
I think you mentioned that we had 20 when we were with you. You had 22 stops.
I think it was 22 stops.
Yeah.
Yes.
Spread out. I don't know our loop. How big was our loop?
I think it was, I don't know if it was 100 miles, but it was really close. It might have been just over 100 miles.
Loop.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty good run. So
definitely.
Well, it was actually, I guess it was 23 because of the Mexican restaurant.
There you go. Yeah.
That's one stop you don't want to miss. Yeah. The next Hoosier Trapper Outdoors, some of that footage, including the skunk you just brought up, that's all on there. So the people will see what we're talking about. You had some great footage on the release of the cat. Not when you're actually operating a catch pole or the board or whatever, but just out of the trap and how they act, and it's kind of cool to see them run away and jump down in the brush.
Yeah. Of course, I've caught a lot of cats over the last several years, and I use a catch pole myself. A lot of guys will use boards or buckets or totes or whatever, but you just got to be careful around cats. We had one. Jared had a hold of the pole, and I thought the cat had settled down. I was getting ready to get the trap off its foot, and the only thing I seen was a claw come right in front of my face. So I had to get back a second, reevaluate that, and then I think I grabbed the pole out of his hands and I got the cat out. Those things, they get tiring after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even if we had a season, which you're probably only allowed to be catch one. So there's two of you trapping. So that means you guys still would have been turning loose 7
Yeah,
if we had a season.
Right.
So
Yeah, there's especially down there in southern Indiana, there's too many.
yeah,
there's yeah,
Something needs done.
there's several guys around that started trapping after we were done, and they're catching cats too.
yeah.
There's quite a few.
Yeah. And I think we've talked about it before too, but the idea of that heavy cat population in an area has some effect on the coyote population. Basically, they're the dominant. Essentially, they push them out. I don't know that that's a proven theory. Well, it's not a proven theory if it's a theory, but I mean, it's I don't know if that's necessarily been proven, but there is definitely I think some merit to the idea of that they're the dominant predator in the area, or the coyotes don't want to mess with them or something. So
Yeah, I definitely believe that.
yeah.
I mean, what we've seen.
So how many days did it take you guys to get up to speed on that 22 stops with that many traps out?
It took maybe,
I'd say about 4. And then
days.
even after that, we still
Or
fill
half.
in here and there.
Right.
You know, if we had a 15-minute drive from one stop to the other, we would try to find a spot, just a little drive-by spot, to put a couple more, just so we wouldn't be wasting all of our time driving, and at least we'd have a couple to look at. And those spots paid off for us.
Yeah, we had one spot in particular right off the road, old county road that nobody drives.
You showed it.
A farm track. Yeah, I think it
was on that
we've got some footage of that.
last weekend. I think they showed one.
Okay, well, right there and right off the road. And that one trap caught 4 coyotes.
Yeah.
Same trap.
Same trap. There were other sets around, but that one, it's the one that caught 4 coyotes there.
Just right on the travel way where they're coming through.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just a pull into the field, and probably about a half mile, 3/4 of a mile north of it was a turkey barn or something
Hog barn.
across the field a ways. And I mean, we've said it there the last 2 or 3 years, and normally it'll produce a couple.
Mm-hmm.
This year it hit for 4, so we was pleased with that one.
Mm-hmm.
We had some areas, you know, we've scouted and we tried to do our homework. We had some areas that like that produced 4 coyotes. We had a spot that we called it Eagle Lane because the first day we went to check or to set, there were 4 eagles off this lane, and that's where we had the coyote when you were with us.
The
Mhm.
one coyote.
And you know, it looked great.
We were thinking 6 to 8 coyotes on that lane
Right.
alone.
because it's a natural travel way and everything converges right there, and they just weren't there.
Yeah.
They weren't there for those couple weeks.
Yeah.
And that's how it
That
goes.
works. Like sometimes you're like, all right, these are our home run spots. We're gonna probably catch about this here. And then the filler spots, like you're saying, like drive-bys that you just throw in and they're just okay, just adequate. Sometimes those are the better ones than their so-called home run spots. Just how it
Yeah,
plays out.
That's kind of what we found out. So
Yeah.
Generally, though, you probably agree, though, from year to year, if you've got a good spot, generally it's going to be good the following year.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, just I mean, there might be some variation in catch, but it's generally going to be, unless there's some drastic change, it's going to be good year in, year out.
Yep.
And you say drastic change, we had a drastic change on the line this year. There's a stretch where we were not catching coyotes, and we couldn't figure out for the longest time why we weren't catching coyotes. And toward the end of the 2 weeks, we decided to punch in some beaver sets at a spot. And when we got down there, the whole farm was growed up in CRP.
Mm-hmm.
The whole farm.
we're talking over 200 acres.
Yeah.
So if that wasn't bad enough, you go 2 or 3 miles, probably a mile and a half away, and that farmer had his ground in CRP. And it was along the river.
Yeah.
So probably all the coyotes around were going back and forth through that CRP.
Yeah.
We did catch 4 or 5 at the one place. 5 there. Who caught a cat? Yeah, caught a cat there. But you know, if we wouldn't have waited so long to set the one farm, we probably could have made that connection a little earlier.
Mhm.
That's kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
We also focused this year on the new stretch of our line. We kind of focused along the river was our goal, as many farms as we could get along the river, and we got quite a bit. Yeah. And halfway through, maybe a little over halfway through, we walked down to the river just to take a peek, and of course, it was almost dry, and there were coyote tracks all over the place running up and down the river, and we think maybe they were spending a lot of time just running the riverbank up here, you know, on the fields and tree lines and stuff where we were setting. So I think that cost us a few dogs there.
We were so focused on, you know, the the crop changes, the field crossings, the typical places that you normally catch coyotes. That's just, we kind of dropped the ball there, and as far as looking along the river.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we probably could have picked up a few coyotes right
At the river.
right in the river bed itself.
That would have been kind of cool. I mean, because typically I'm assuming that dry edge would be obviously underwater on a normal.
Right.
So.
Right. And there were high, you know, the river, it was a high bank, and you could just see the coyote tracks down there. It was kind of sickening, you know. Seeing all those.
Yeah, we were sick once we discovered that, thinking, man, we missed out here a little bit, but
yeah,
we'll know for next rivers down.
I'm sure that would have made it a lot for raccoon catches too. So
You're right there.
juggling act.
Yeah,
But that's okay. I mean, if that's
You just have to line the dog proofs up too, and
we do that some.
yeah.
We think could possibility. We throw in a few dog proofs.
You think that helps?
Yeah.
We actually had, I don't know if we got it on footage or not, but we had a raccoon caught and a DP, and then right 8 feet away, we had a coyote caught.
Yeah.
that's great.
Don't know, but
Right.
But we had both of them there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think
it does help.
if a coon shows up and just the way they are visually, just seeing that, like, you know, DP sticking on the ground, they're gonna check that out first before they end up getting in your foot trap, you know, for your coyote's head.
right.
At least that's my thinking.
Yeah, that's kind of how we think about it too.
So just to clarify for beginners, when you set a predator line and you're concerned, you get in the brush or near a river, or a place where you're concerned about catching raccoons, and it's okay to catch a raccoon in a coyote set, but then you got to remake it. So it's easier to set some dog proofs to hopefully cut them off before they get to your coyote set, and then so that's what we're referring to here, just for some clarity.
Yeah,
Sure. And even if we catch a raccoon in a coyote set, I mean, that's not bad. It's not a bad thing.
No.
It just adds high appeal. So, and we reset the same trap, put it right back in the same spot. And in this year in particular, those remakes were pretty hot.
Mhm.
We just kept catching
and we probably had 3 or 4 traps that caught
multiple.
four alone.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
several, in remakes. So
Mhm.
I don't know why we really did well in remakes.
Yeah, this is a good topic to bring up because we hear, obviously working at a trap supply store, we hear all kinds of stuff all the time, and different people come in, and we're all on the same page on this as far as making that remake, same trap, same spot. And some guys think that pull out of there and set a trap on the outside and do this, that, and the other. That's fine to do that, but I would definitely make sure that original one's there. I
As
feel
long
like
as
statistically, you would do
Yeah.
better on a catch in the same exact spot, same trap.
Yeah.
as long as it's not, you know, a swimming pool there,
Right,
just as we
Yeah.
reset it.
right.
And if it's real bad, we'll try to clean the trap up and put it within real close proximity to that circle.
Which we generally have another trap fairly close anyway. So,
Mhm.
but we like to put it right back in the circle if we can.
Yeah.
And even if like with you guys, we had to pull the one trap, we just put a clean trap right back down in that same circle. Used all that. Well, it was mud that day, but
Yeah.
use all that dirt and everything. Same spot.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
typically try to at least put a top covering of whatever's in the catch circle,
Local dirt.
that dirt over top of our peat moss or wax dirt, whatever. Because you want that smell continuous. You don't want it one spot where there's
Right.
no
Yeah.
smell.
You make your whole new set and then come in with brand new wax dirt and just make a one spot. I could see how, coyotes could shy away from something like that.
Right.
Or just dig at it out of curiosity because
Yeah.
it's not the same, or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Now there's those coyotes that will, you got the catch circle, and that definitely happens where they shy away from it. So I think that's what people get hung up on about the remakes, about just putting a whole nother set somewhere else and forgetting about it like it's no good. 9 times out of 10, I think they're going to get in it, but there are the few that will be like, it's a little overkill with smell, I'm moving on.
Right.
Definitely reset those.
Yeah.
yeah, I think that we're dispelling some myths. We get email. I got an email yesterday, and the guy was concerned about something he heard online. That's a few trappers that told him that, or he watched on YouTube or whatever, that a few trappers had said they didn't like wax dirt because the cows smell the wax. Well, it's kind of like, first of all, whoever's saying that, how much experience do they have? And a lot of times trappers just want to dog something that's out, not a few trappers. They want to knock something that's already out there, and it's rarely based on any type of proven experience or anything like that. They're just basically spewing crap, essentially. So, the bottom line with all that stuff is that
I'm gonna have to edit this show. Spewing crap, Charlie.
The bottom line is whatever can keep you going when the weather's not cooperating. Even if it's not 100% ideal, and wax dirt is about as ideal as you can get, maybe it's not as perfect as the local dirt.
Right.
But if that's freezing up, there's no, you got to start working off of alternatives.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Do that or quit.
Do what you have to do.
well, you've got to make the best of your situation with the time you've got.
Right.
So if you don't prepare like bone dry peat moss, and it has to be powdery dry.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have wax dirt, if you use salt, you're gonna have trip traps from deer and rabbits and all kinds of stuff. I mean, you've got to make the best of your situation. And across the country, it's going to be different, of course, but we made up, 30 gallon,
35 gallons.
35 gallons of wax dirt. We had like 4 or 5 bales of peat moss that we've dried. And we kind of used both.
And we still ran out.
and we still ran. So we were probably running 120 traps, 130 traps. Then you've got remakes, and then you've got, everything else, going with that too. So depending on how big a line you're going to have, you've got to prepare for that.
Right.
And bait and lure too. I mean, holy crap. Jarod here, he likes feeding the coyotes before.
Got to feed them.
I'm kind of stingy.
That's
I put it on the knife and down in the hole, and I call it good. So
He's just being respectful, it's their last meal, so.
yeah. But anyway, I mean, if you're going to run a lot of traps, you're going to use a lot of bait, you're going to lure, whatever. You're going to use a lot of peat moss and wax dirt. And, one thing we didn't really have a lot of this year was just regular dry dirt. So we're going to kind of work on that next year and just have dry dirt on hand. But, if you're coyote trapping, it seems like you got to have
Right.
all these different things to prepare for whatever weather you're going to get.
Right.
And you never know what you're going to get. So.
Yeah. Are you going to make more wax dirt or just stick with the amount you had and make it work, or?
Oh no, we're going to make more this year.
We're going to make more.
Okay.
And we're trying to find some like black dirt too to make some out of for our black dirt farms.
Mm-hmm.
Blend
a little bit.
And that's something too. I mean, depending on where you're trapping, we've got some farms where that dirt is as tan as can be.
Yeah.
And we've got other dirt that it's just coal black.
Coal black.
So, and you want to try to match it the best you can to blend it in so it doesn't raise any extra suspicion for the coyotes or whatever. So it's process.
Yeah.
So to put it in perspective, do you guys have any idea how much prep time you've got in a 16-week prior to starting? How much prep time goes into 16 days of trapping, like you're doing full days, 10, 11 dozen traps?
Too much.
It is a bunch.
It's a lot.
We spent every weekend doing something.
Yeah.
Leading up to this, whether it was be knocking on doors, going out and getting dirt, making the wax dirt, getting traps prepped, stakes, drags. I mean, everything. I mean, we had
a lot of time in it. Probably too much, but what else are you going to do when it's 103 degrees outside?
Right.
Make
wax dirt. So
that's a good time to make it when it's like that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So.
We actually use a seed mixer this year, and that's the key right there.
Yeah, that sped us up quite a bit.
Did you put a torch on it then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
On the exterior or the in? I've seen both.
We done the torch.
Yeah.
It was at the bottom of it, heating it from the bottom while it was on.
Okay.
It worked. I mean, it was really a pretty quick process.
It was a quick turnaround time, so
Yeah.
not too bad.
Talk a little bit about, because people wonder about this all the time, about gaining places to trap, and maybe they're looking at state or federal ground, or maybe they've got a deer hunting lease or a deer hunting buddy that. But as far as just going out and knocking on doors, what do you guys have a certain approach for that, or and how often do you get turned down? That kind of thing.
If you're going to go knock on doors, I think you guys have touched on it before. Don't go all greasy and dirty and knock on his door, or if you see him working on a piece of equipment, it's not the time to ask. When you approach them, try to get them on a day that maybe they're not too busy. Definitely not when they're planting or picking. That's not good times.
Right.
Do it in the summertime or whatever. Dress fairly nice, good clean t-shirt or whatever, and
take your wife's car instead of your old trapping truck.
So just be respectful. Tell them what you're wanting to do.
One thing that worked for us a little bit this year, which we got turned down as much as we got
Sure.
permission.
Okay,
But
so it's about 50-50.
Probably
Maybe not quite.
on the newer line that we're talking about, it was probably 50-50. But the properties that we've trapped in the past, we actually had landowners calling other landowners that were their neighbors to say, hey, you need to have these guys in there to trap your beaver or catch those coyotes that are bothering your cows. So that works out really well too.
Mhm.
You build a relationship with the landowners and be good, on their property, be respectful of their land, and they'll have you back.
Mhm.
And they also will gain you access to other properties.
So that's what I was getting. One thing that helped us this year is we'd stop at this farmer's place and talk to him and actually gain permission. While we were there, we'd say, hey, do you have any neighbors here that we could go talk to? And they'd shoot us 3 or 4 names, and then we'd ask them, hey, is it okay that we throw your name out that you sent us here, and and for that, and that helped out quite a bit. Having this farmer send us to other local farmers, and that gained us quite a bit of ground.
Yeah,
one of our biggest grounds this year.
Yeah,
it got us on there. So just be polite and respectful, and keep at it. I mean,
and you talked about like guys with leases.
Mhm.
The one farmer in particular, he said, yeah, you can trap here, but currently we've got a guy deer lease. He's got a deer lease on some river ground. And by the time we were done, he said, next year we're going to do that lease a little different. We're going to try to get you guys in there to, they had beaver problems to catch beaver and coyotes over there. So,
and he actually called us a couple days and on his property, and we caught a couple of coyotes, and him and his grandson, and they really enjoyed it. So I think that helped us too.
So yeah, we were great then. So it worked out.
That's
pretty
great.
good.
I think too, some people will go knock on a couple doors, and I'm probably guilty of this, and you get turned down 2 or 3 times, then you get kind of discouraged. It's like you just got to push through it and go knock on some more doors, so.
Well, yeah, you can't let it get discouraged. So something else I did this year, I made up business cards. I put this ugly mug on it and a few coyote pictures and beaver pictures that I had, and just have my name and phone number and my address on it. And some people that said no, they took my card because they said, well, we have another trapper trapping the place. I said, well, that's okay. I know him. He's a good guy. And they said, but if he doesn't trap this year, we might be getting a hold of you.
Mm-hmm.
So you always want to try to leave a positive impression on a landowner, even if you're not going to be trapping their place.
Right.
Sometimes later on down the road, it might, benefit you.
Right.
You might be in place.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't hurt to ask. And you can always leave a card. So you can say, if you ever have any problems with, beavers or coyotes or raccoons or anything, feel free to give me a call.
Yeah. What's that old saying? Or the closed mouth doesn't get fed. So you better ask, because it's not happening if you don't even try.
That's right. And it doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah.
The worst they can do is say no. But one funny thing, we stopped knocking on this one farm. We didn't know him at all. What, 1,000 acres probably?
Yeah.
Of beautiful ground.
This is a sickening story.
And we talked to the
Son.
yeah, the son, but the mom was real polite. I think she wanted to invite Matt in for a glass of tea. A real nice old lady. But the son got involved, and like I said, sitting on 1,000 acres probably. And he finally said, all right, I'll tell you what, You can trap from that ditch to that ditch and on that side of it, and that's it. It's 100 yards of dried up ditch. So we just said thank you and went about our way. We never went there.
No.
But
Yeah.
And you'll have those.
Yeah.
There's a certain age group of landowners or farmers or whatever that they've inherited some ground and they want you to know that that's their ground or whatever, and basically don't want anybody doing anything on it, which that's fine. It's their ground, but
Right.
it just we ran into a couple of those this year, so which is kind of a new experience, I guess, for me.
Yeah.
Running into like that. So
The running around with you that day and last year, you guys do have some beautiful farm country. I mean, it's perfect Midwestern coyote trapping.
Yeah.
Wish we had a little bit more of that right here where we're at, but yeah, it's nice.
We're up against so much urban sprawl where we're
Yeah.
at that we would have to drive quite a ways to get. Well, I don't even know if we got a nearby county that's got gravel roads. So,
wow.
that
Yeah.
just to give you guys an idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
A good gravel road around
Indianapolis.
here is better than our highways.
What's that?
A good gravel road around here is better than our highways.
Yeah.
Yep, I believe it.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
Now,
Jared, go ahead.
Have you guys lost a lot of ground to trap from urban sprawl?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's getting worse. About to lose one of the first places I ever caught a coyote in my life. Probably here very soon.
Next few years. So
Yeah.
a big development going in. A spot that I literally trapped when I was in first started, that 14 years old or whatever, however old I was. Trapped all these years in the landowner's
Son.
son or daughter built a house on it, in that part. So that was just, that basically ended that.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens to everybody. It's just we're experiencing a little bit more of that sprawl for sure. Just being so close to Indianapolis that,
Yeah, there's still plenty to mess with, and you just got to work a little bit more at it and drive a little further. How much time you got, before work sort of situation, but
Sure.
It's there.
But yeah, you guys do have beautiful country, and there's people living down there, and there's farms and all that, but it's definitely different than up here. And like I said, I don't even know of a county nearby that's got gravel roads. And like some of those gravel roads that you guys were on, that you were just basically trapping off of, it was still a county road, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
pretty cool. So
Yeah.
So Jared, tell us about your perspective on lure choices.
Yeah.
I kind of like giving them a little bit something else to smell other than the normal, the common, glands and stuff like that. So I started years ago using muskrat lure and beaver lure and stuff like that, and meat gland lure. I used to actually, the first coyote I ever caught was on a meat gland lure in one hole, and some mice and ground up mice in the other hole. And it's along a creek bank, a little creek levee. And, if coyotes traveling, minks traveling and everything back then, I didn't care what I caught. And I just started using meat gland lure, muskrat lure, and beaver lure. And this year I told Matt, I said, Matt, I'm going to do it again, because it was along the river and everything. And I thought, I'm going to give them a little bit different smell this year than what we normally do. And so we used your Muskrat Licious a lot. I did exclusively Muskrat Licious and your Stump Kicker.
Yeah.
Is that what stump kicker.
It's a beaver call / food lure. So yeah.
Yeah, that's which our bottle said 503 on it still.
Right.
So and had great success with it. I think it just gives them a little bit curiosity, to look. I always use the double dirt hole or punch hole, whatever you want. And I put the bait in one hole and the lure in the other. And I don't use urine. I just mainly because I never have it in my bag with me. But I don't use urine. And I think it just gives them the two holes. It gets them moving their feet a little more, and the curiosity on that, either the muskrat lure, something sweet, or your beaver lure there. It worked out great for me. I went through couple bottles of each.
Yeah.
But
and you were using Top Dog.
I was using the Top Dog exclusively. He was using your Mighty Dog, except he wouldn't let me have the Mighty Dog.
That's because you were eating it.
He was eating. Can you believe that? Stuff.
Smells good enough to eat.
I know.
We came up with that little stunt when we was up there at your rendezvous this year, and we went in and talked to Andrea and to get a clean bottle. And on the way home, we about had to pull over. We were laughing so hard. And we laughed about it all the way up until the day we done it. But yeah, it was fun.
So the perspective, I mean, when you guys go at a location, normally you're setting, both of you are setting.
Yeah.
So, you're using different attractants, different bait, at the same location. So obviously giving them a different smell or a different choice.
Sure. And I don't know, we were catching coyotes. So
yeah, we always said at least one apiece.
Sometimes two or three.
Sometimes two or three apiece.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean there's plenty of smell there, different smells for them to check out. Like Matt was always using either your jet fuel or your black gold or your Dixon elixir.
Yeah.
In his combination with the Mighty Dog, and I just exclusively use the Muskrat Licious and the Stump Kicker, the 503, with the Top Dog, and it probably ended up being about 50-50, didn't it?
Yeah.
On catch rate.
I mean, there's a few days we had doubles, so just they'd come through, and some of them we'd catch and some of them we didn't, but we caught several of them.
Yeah. So now, do you use urine, Matt, or no?
I do. Yeah. And sometimes on a lot of them, I'd use a little bit of sheep's wool. And I just use one dirt hole. I put everything down there, so they're going to have to work at it to get it
right.
all the attraction, it's all in one spot. Just keep their feet moving and
Right.
try to, and which I think goes to prove that there's no set way of doing it. You know, Matt does a single hole, you know, and he sets his trap really, really, really tight to the hole. Sometimes my trap just falls where it falls with the two holes. Sometimes it's really tight. Sometimes it might be 3 inches back. And there's no set in stone way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just play around and try it. You know, he has his way, I have my way, and they both work.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say he's pretty meticulous about making sure it's bedded
Mm-hmm.
rock solid. Me, I'm kind of sloppy.
He's sloppy.
I get it down, twist it, and I cover it over, you know, and I kind of run with it. It's seated good, but it's probably not bedded as solid as it should be. But
Still catches
I'm
dogs.
still catching coyotes.
Yeah.
Now, did you think you would have, compared to Jared, did you have more flip offs, or would you just?
We didn't really, did we?
No.
No, not really. Most of our biggest problem was either cows or deer.
Yeah.
Okay. So you had it bedded good enough to some extent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just take a little bit more time and make sure mine's
Yeah.
a little bit more picky about making sure it absolutely is solid, which goes to show you maybe I'm wasting a little bit of time, but
Well, I don't think that. I mean, I get my trap in there and I give it a twist. It's in there. It's locked in, but I just kind of pound them in and cover it over and
go.
move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spend a lot of time messing with it or whatever. And when we check them, we drive by, and if we can see that there's nothing caught, the trap's not flipped, we just keep going.
Yeah.
We leave it alone. That's a big thing. If people want to get out there and really look at it every day and mess with it, it's not the thing to do.
I had one set that I told Matt for the last week that we're going to have to bring a metal detector when we pull, because I didn't even have any idea where it was.
Mhm.
Look, a coyote got in it and showed us where it was. Luckily, but
That's the best way to do it.
yeah,
So what are you guys' thoughts? Like the day we were with you, you just caught the one coyote, and then the next day you guys did really well. And we all know that happens. It's completely normal. But what do you guys think is the reason for that? In other words, why is one night better than another night? Especially if within like the 24-hour frame. Sometimes you can say, well, full moon. So, but that'll be normally several days. That's kind of crappy. And then you get some.
Coyotes being coyotes.
Yeah.
Some nights they're gonna run, and some they're not.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, the night before you guys came down, it was a lot warmer that night.
yeah.
Makes them kind of lazy.
It was like 50, 55 degrees or something.
It was a really, really warm night, and we were a little concerned about that with you guys coming down. But I mean, it happens, like I said, dropped down a few degrees in temperature that next day, and we pounded them.
Yeah.
Really about every day after you guys left, we pounded. We had a day of 10, several days of 7 and 8, a couple days of 2.
Sure.
But I don't think there's any rhyme or reason for it, really.
But the biggest thing, don't get discouraged.
Right.
Leave your traps, let them work. They're going to come through. They might run past your set the first night or 2 or whatever, but eventually they're going to work your sets.
Right.
As long as the wind in your favor, so they can smell your bait or lure or whatever. Just leave them alone and let them work.
Right. We do think about that a lot too. The prevailing wind.
Mm-hmm.
We take a lot of thought into that when we're setting, but we still always have another one over here, on the other side of it, just in case. But we use prevailing wind quite a bit.
Yeah. That statistically, I think you guys are a really good example of this. So, 16 check days, 22 stops, roughly 10 dozen traps. So you're still looking at a lot of empty traps to make a big catch.
Oh,
Absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely.
And a lot of beginners, they'll in fact, we had a guy the other day, he had 2 traps set for 4 nights and he didn't catch a coyote. He did catch 2 coons, but it's like he may have been doing everything correct, but statistically he was just not in the ball game. So
sure.
even if he was on location, 4 nights may not be enough for that spot.
Right.
So
Right.
I think beginners really have a hard time grasping that or dealing with it and trying to not and getting discouraged or whatever. So.
And I'd encourage someone new at coyote trapping to ride along, try to find somebody to ride along with,
Mhm.
to kind of see how their line is and how many traps they've got, and their catch rate and all that kind of stuff, and really what goes into it.
Right.
Because set 2 traps, you caught 2 raccoons or whatever, but it might take 3 or 4 days before that coyote comes through.
Right.
It's just you're trapping one little spot. So
Right. I know, Jared, your buddy, Jody, that rode with us that day, he was saying that, guys are doing a lot of driving.
Yeah, I've talked to him since then. Down there at work. I see him every day at work, and he was that's what he said. He said a lot of driving. I said, well, we already had it all set. Our whole line by that time, for the most part, was set, and I told him, if he'd been there that first week, he'd have been getting in a little bit of work with us, or getting everything set. But once you got set, it's just maintaining and running them at that point, and
Right.
at that point. But yeah, a lot of driving, a lot of looking at empty traps.
Yeah. And that's what it takes. It's just like killing a big deer. You got to pass up a lot of deer to kill a big deer. So it's the same analogy. So in other words, you're going to look at a lot of empty traps in order to make a big catch. So
right. Yep. And that's also one reason why we set so many, is because we want to catch,
right.
We the ones that come through. So maybe we set farms too heavy, so maybe we set too many traps, but we want to catch them when they come through.
2 weeks. So we want to get them on the come through if possible.
Right.
So sometimes we are guilty of oversetting a spot or two, but we want to get them while we're there in 2 weeks.
Other than using equipment, I don't think there's really a downside to oversetting necessarily. Do you?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, within reason.
Right. Farm around here, if we have a crop change or a field crossing, put 4 traps there. We got both sides covered for the wind and whatever. So 4 traps, it's covered. I wouldn't set 8 or 10 traps on one crossing. I wouldn't.
4 at the most. But we had the one farm, there was a crossing here, and we had 4 in, and it wasn't 200-300 yards.
Yeah.
There was another really good crossing that we actually just discovered at the end of last year. We had 4 more in right there, and shoot, we had a doubles here and several singles. I mean, 300 yards apart, we had 8 traps, and
right.
both spots caught coyotes. So I don't think swamping them like that, it affects them that bad.
Yeah. So what traps are you guys running? You guys kind of run a mix, don't you?
Yeah, it's a hodgepodge. Run a lot of 550s. We got some
Juniors.
Yeah, Kendall Obermeyer's the juniors. Got a few of the extremes. Got some number 3s fully modified. So, but mostly the 550s is what we have most of.
Yeah. Jared, what you're shaking your head about?
He can have those extremes. He can. Those aren't fun for me to set.
Yeah. That's like these guys at 4-coil MB 550s. I mean, with that little edge right there to get your hand on I can't set them. Of course, I'm getting old, but why do you want to fight that trap? It's that trap's strong enough with the 2-coil.
He's got Duke 1 3/4 that are 4-coil.
Woo!
I mean, they're hard to set.
You can't hardly set them.
Yeah.
We call them the dirty Dukes.
Yeah.
And
they're too tight.
Yeah.
Those are the traps I started out with years ago. So we use them when we're out of traps or maybe a location that might be a little bit out in the open for drive-by, people driving by and, high theft areas possibly maybe, but not that I want to lose them, but we don't want to put our 550s there.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, if it was up to me, we'd get rid of all the other traps and just go strictly to 550s. I think, and we did have a couple 550s somehow with 4-coil. We took the 2 springs off. We made them 2-coil.
Yeah.
There's no reason for that 4-coil
Right.
at all.
Especially running waxed dirt and peat moss.
Yeah.
There's no need.
Right.
There's no need for that at all, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We always had the same perspective when we were trapping public ground, particularly, national forest ground or whatever. And I remember one case in particular, we were pretty close to the public within the forest. So we set a 1 3/4 or 1.75 Victor offset jaw in there, and figuring if somebody stole it, not a big deal. Well, we caught a coyote, but the coyote pulled the jaws out and grabbed them. So it's kind of defeated the purpose.
Yeah.
You can't win them all.
No.
Yeah, that happens.
So the trap never got stolen, but the coyote tore it up. So
Yeah. We only lost 1 trap this year.
Yeah.
1 coyote trap. We're not sure if it was theft or.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a coyote in it, so we don't know if it pulled or if somebody stopped and took it or took trap and all. We're not sure, but we did lose 1 trap
yeah,
this year due to something like
Right.
that. Which is okay.
go
we
ahead.
knew where we said it that was a possibility on that spot, and that's why we didn't have 550 there or the juniors.
You'd
The,
rather
Yeah, I had that extreme getting pulled.
there you go. What kind of stakes do you guys are you using? The cable stakes or you using the Fox Hollows?
Yeah,
Super
the super
stakes. Yeah,
Chains.
Yeah.
And we did have a little bit of trouble with those.
yeah. It had to be the stake itself,
Yeah, we thought maybe it was our driver.
but it was the stake itself.
you blew
So
you blew through the point, right? Or the
A
couple of them, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and then our driver was getting stuck in them also, and I mean we had to put the winch on, pull the whole thing back up, and start all over.
Yeah.
And the stake driver was down in the stake, and so we ground our stake drivers down and everything, trying to make it. And it ended up, we're pretty sure it ended up being the stakes themselves or the anchor.
yeah.
The super stake itself. And I did actually break my hammer down driver. I busted the cable off of it. Well, that's not that big a deal. But then what do you call
The
it?
little top
The head.
round. Yeah,
Well,
the head.
the pin in the middle that holds the head on,
Mhm.
Oh,
broke that. So don't know really how I broke that sleeve or whatever, but it busted, and then the head come off. Which I went to a hardware store and got a new one and got it fixed. So
Right.
not too big a deal, but I was able to break it. I guess something else.
Yeah.
That stake driver holds up.
Yeah,
Good.
it's a good stake driver. It really is. But I'm just hard on things. I break stuff all the time. So
Well,
that's just
we're
me.
getting I mean, that's a lot of use though too.
that's a lot. That's a lot of use.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one thing we tell everyone on the show, and it's good to have backup equipment, like multiple of the same, whatever your favorite tool is. Get a couple of them just in case,
Yep.
or in the truck or whatever.
I mean, you might break it. You might leave it at the last set. You might, whatever. So it's always a good idea to have plenty of backup stuff.
It's a must, especially coyote trapping, because you're gonna have problems and breakdowns, and it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I know this year we had a flat tire on the trailer, we had a flat tire on the ATV, we had busted the gate on the trailer, the lift gate, a little bit of everything,
Yeah.
So he busted a hammer.
Yeah. Busted my hammer.
I busted the driver. We busted stakes. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Have backups.
backups or good landowners to help us out.
Sure. Yeah.
After the flat tire, we started hauling around a Bloomfield jack and tools to get the tire off.
Yeah, he got the mule stuck one day, so that was good.
Yeah. He was driving when it got stuck.
So he pulls it up there and it's almost stuck. And then he said, well, let's go. And I put it in reverse and we're stuck. Buried it.
Yep.
Farmer came to our rescue though.
Yeah, pulled us out. We were good to go in 30 minutes. So
That was fortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah, that's the thing about that stuff. When you get that kind of stuff stuck or four-wheel drive truck stuck, it's bad.
It's stuck.
Yeah.
So, things like that are going to happen.
It's all part of.
So are you guys you done for the year? You're going back out or?
I just pulled the rest of the beaver traps today. I think I might have 2 more spots to catch some beaver. I'm just waiting on the permission to get finalized, I guess. There's another spot we're going to go back into and catch some more coyotes. So I've got one of those fancy cameras, so it's sending me pictures of coyotes again. So I got to go get more coyotes. So
It's close though. It's a close farm, close to home. We can run it pretty easy. Between one of us, we can run it before or after work.
Okay.
It's going to be just out of the truck line.
Yeah.
Good deal.
That was one thing too. I noticed when you guys were running that many locations that you guys had it pretty efficient in terms of you're not walking very far from the vehicle.
And that was planned. We planned that.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you can't spend time walking.
no, if you're going to set that many traps, that cover that many miles, that many farms, you've got to be able to drive right up to it and move on. You can't waste time.
Yeah.
And we tried to make sure that we could do it out of the truck instead of the buggy unless it was raining, which we had to use the buggy a few times this year. But for the most part, we was able to go right out of the truck, and for time and efficiency, that really helped us there.
Yeah, that's very significant, so.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody wants to put a pack on, pack basket on and go walking, that's fine, but it just doesn't fit into a higher production long line like you guys were doing. So
you're not going to put out a big number of traps like that.
Right. And you're still trapping the same coyotes when you do that too. So
yeah. And we learn every year. We've learned this year a couple farms we're going to set up a little different next year, just by what we've seen and what we learned, and just learn every time you're out there. Pay attention.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, this has been great.
You guys got any last minute thoughts?
Don't get your buggy stuck.
Don't get your buggy stuck.
If you're going to plan on setting a lot of traps, we want to catch a lot of coyotes, line up a lot of ground, try to be prepared for the weather, wax dirt, peat moss, whatever. Be patient, make your sets, be patient, leave them alone, let them work. So bet them solid. So that's about the best.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to say is if you have a neighbor kid, boy or girl, anything, take them trapping. That's how me and my brothers got into it. We was fortunate enough we had a neighbor. I was too young at the time, but he invited my brother trapping, my oldest brother. Of course, when I got big enough to tag along, he took me all he could, and that's what gave me the bug right there. Just because a trapper voluntarily took the neighbor kid trapping with him, and now I know his son traps now, and his son has $2 and a new son, and they're trapping. So right there's 3 generations of trappers,
right?
All because one guy took the neighbor kid trapping. So just keep that in mind. If you have a neighbor kid, take them trapping. You know, take them out running with you one time.
That's a
See
great
what's-
suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
It might the bug, it might not, but it definitely changed me and my brother's lives, you know, through trapping. And so that would be my one suggestion. Take somebody with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I failed to mention that too, but we took a few people here. And we always invite people to ride along. So just give us a call or whatever and ride
Yeah.
along.
Next year you'll be like, take a number, boys. We'll schedule you in.
Hundreds of people are going to be calling you now.
I doubt that, but like I tell everybody, bring your own drinks and your snacks. So Justin's bad about eating my Snickers bars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt's only got so many and Justin's kind of hard on
Yeah.
I just read the pack and just said, hungry? Why wait? I just ate it.
We appreciate it, guys.
Yeah. Everyone up there, check out Hoosier Trapper Outdoors next week to see some more of the highlights of some of the stuff we talked. I got most of it. I don't even have it fully edited yet, but I got most of it there, and you'll see some doubles on there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Matt's getting fancy with this. That could be another tip, you know, wear some fur out there. You got to bring it back. It's a nice coyote jacket. Wait, can you give us the backstory on that real quick? The coat?
So, I've never had anything made from fur. So last couple of years, I thought, I want to have a coat made. So I got a hold of a gal on Facebook, Deanna McCormick, and she looked like she did great work. Talked to her, messaged her, and long story short, I got this great coat. Caught all the coyotes myself. I sent the coyotes to get tanned at Sleepy Creek Tannery. Did a great job, and then sent them off to Deanna. And
What is it? 9 of them? 9 coyotes?
it took 9 coyotes to make this coat. So
Yeah,
it's pretty nice coat. Justin's wore it, so
I love it. I feel like I'm walking around like Jay-Z in that thing.
You look like it.
it's warm.
You might need that coat next week because I think we're finally going to get some cold weather. Cold weather.
Yep.
Forward to it.
Well, good deal. Good chatting with you guys. I'm sure we'll see you soon. Maybe at a fur sale, or who knows, convention season will probably be here before we all know it. So
Yep.
happy trip.
Well, thanks.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks.